Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Movement to Texas team here in Houston, Texas, here with another episode of the Real Advice podcast. I am thrilled to welcome this week's guest to the show. She's originally from New York, has been a Florida resident for many years, lived in
Mhm.
many different cities along the East Coast, so makes her a great relocation specialist, and her team a great relocation specialist for the East Coast of Florida. But
Yes.
she currently lives and serves the Jupiter and Palm Beach County, Florida area. Please join me in welcoming Nicole Stanbra. What's going on?
Hey, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to chat with you.
I'm excited to dig in too.
Yes.
I guess the when we actually spent some time together was a couple months ago now, monthish ago now, at a conference. So that was cool being able to hear a little bit more kind of about your story and things like that. But I guess for those that may not know you, how'd you get into real estate?
I kind of grew up in a real estate family. My dad was investing in real estate from a very young age. My brother still is in real estate in the commercial world in Manhattan and now in Orlando. And so I kind of grew up in that world a little bit. But I'd say personally, it was just from my husband and I moving every couple of years. We would relocate, buy a new home, sell it. And eventually we're like, one of us just needs to get our license because we got tired of paying all these realtor fees. And we felt, as the consumer, we were doing all the legwork anyway. We were finding the houses on Zillow, and we were just calling people to open doors for us. So I figured, how hard can it be? I'll just get my license. And so um, when I was on maternity leave with my son, my second kid, I just took the course, studied, and got my license. And it was actually right when we were planning on selling and purchasing. So my first two transactions were my two personal properties. So that was a good opportunity for me to practice on myself before
Yeah.
I involve any other clients. So
Um, so how long have you been in real estate? How many years now?
um, 7 years, just about
Okay,
7 years. Yeah.
awesome. And
hmm
then have you moved again since then or no?
Um, no.
So the reason the
That's
reason
true.
why I ask is because whenever we buy an
Yeah.
investment property or whenever we move, my husband and I are the worst buyers. Like we forget we need to wire like the deposit, right? We're like,
Same.
did you schedule inspections or did I? So,
Right.
I'm sure those first two, the buy and the sell, you probably were like super
Yeah.
on top of it. But just make sure that you've got someone running the TC work,
That's
to
so
keep you
true.
in line now if you
I
buy a new
know.
house.
No, that's so true. I've purchased two investment properties
Okay.
since we owned our primary, but same thing. I forgot to wire things. It was like, yeah, all the timelines. I just have my one of my agents on my team kind of help facilitate it so that I
Yeah.
don't forget anything. So
Yeah.
it's a good point.
So how was that first transaction? Because I feel like a lot of people and I have people on my team that like they bought a home and the process wasn't as smooth as they thought it, could have been, or they felt as
Yeah.
if they were doing all the work, or there's many different things, right? What was that process like?
So I sold, we had ours listed first. And again, my first listing, I didn't know what I didn't know. I simply
Yeah.
thought I had professional pictures taken, put on the MLS, and then it was crickets, like no showings.
Yeah.
I kind of pulled a price out of the air, didn't price it well. I just didn't know anything, right? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I had the wrong coding on the MLS. So just in terms of listing, it took a long time to sell. And then, like a lot of sellers right now, I got so desperate because we went under contract with
Yep.
our next home. I didn't have a contingency on there. I didn't even know, Katie. I wrote a cash offer for myself, not even knowing it. Like I just didn't have
You're like,
financing contingencies.
I don't have that
I
much
was
money.
no, I was totally fine. We were doing VA financing. Like I, it was
Flip
bad.
flop.
We just, yeah, we got totally lucky that everything kind of worked out. But I did not have a contingency, so we were carrying both homes at the same time, and I got just basically desperate. And then a lowball cash offer came in, and I took it. And it's a good reminder to kind of know like days on market matter, how when you go to market, how you
Yeah.
position the home matters, and all those things. So I guess silver lining, I learned and practiced on myself before another client. But I will say, like, I have agents on my team, half of them have purchased homes, half of them are still renting or living with roommates. And reminding them that it's a very different experience on the other side when you're their consumer, right? Because
Oh yeah.
it's how often does it happen? I sent the offer out, they haven't e-signed it yet. What's going on? Why can't they just click the button? They said that they're out at dinner and they're going to do it when they're home in front of the computer. Why can't they do it on their phone? Because it's a big fucking deal to buy a house, right? And it's
Huge.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you haven't experienced that and had a little of that anxiety yourself, I think it's kind of hard to understand what your client's going through.
You have a client that they're like, well, let's list first and then we'll buy later. You're like, no, 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 no. This is how it's going to be. Because
Yeah,
because I don't want you calling me and
yeah,
being pissed that it hasn't sold because days on market is this and blah 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 blah. So
exactly. Yeah,
no, I mean, and all of that comes with experience. So I it's interesting to hear that you did that first, and those are such common things, like such common mistakes, so
yeah,
it's interesting to hear that.
yeah.
So I want to switch gears a little bit.
Mhm.
One, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And so I know that you were in the army, right?
Mhm.
Is that
Yes.
um what parallels can you draw as far as mindset and things like that to real estate? Like, clearly I know that as far as difficulty of profession and difficulty
Mhm.
of life, like, clearly being in the military is far more difficult than selling a home, right? But I think that there's like some mindset things and,
Yeah.
and key things that like people that have served have that like
Mhm.
other people don't, right? So
Sure.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. You know, right off the bat, it's the grit and the work ethic. It's real, and I guess that ties into discipline, right? I think most
Yeah.
people think military equals discipline, which it does, but it's really the mindset of like you're not gonna quit. Quitting's not an option if you like because there's other people relying or depending on you, aka your team or your clients. Um, and then it's just a constant in motion getting things done. Like how am I as efficient as possible with my time? How can I set my intentions and schedule my day, schedule my tasks, get everything done within a specific period of time, and just push through really hard challenges, whether
Yeah.
it's just a shitty day or a really hard deal or a terrible agent on the other side or a miserable client, right? But how do you just push through and survive? And sometimes it's not the most pleasant experience, but you just do it because you get it done. So I think it's like the grit to push through, the work ethic of I just wake up and I start working. And I realize, I guess I didn't realize, Katie, that like
Other people
not
don't do
not
that?
everyone's
Yeah.
like that. I did it. I didn't get it. And I wake up early, I go to bed early, but I have a solid, 14-hour day where I'm just using every single minute of the day to be productive. And whether that's in business or personal life
Yeah.
or fitness, like like you schedule your life out, your day
Yeah.
out, and you just get shit done. So um, and I think that's become part of my brand is
Yeah.
just strong work ethic, grit, determination, just power through with drive.
And so, you have a team now, and we'll kind of
Mhm.
get into like the progression of getting to the team. But like, how many agents do you have on your team?
Right now, I have four
Okay.
agents. Yeah,
Has
I'm
have you
anywhere between 5 and 6.
That's what I was gonna say. Have you been like smaller, bigger? Obviously smaller because you add agents
Smaller
on.
for sure. Yeah, I'd say the most I had was at some one time was 6, and I
Okay.
kind of like that size. I think that small to mid-sized team is effective in this market.
Well, and so yeah, especially it's interesting. I was at an event, and the thing was is like, in this market, what are teams doing, right? And there are some teams that are
Mhm.
like, okay, well, shit, like, if it's going to take more phone calls and we're going to have to do more things and do this stuff, like, we have to scale our team. So we're going from 6 to 50 or whatever it may be. And
Yeah.
then some people are like, oh, well, we're at 20, but we're going to scale back to 5 because I have these 5 crushers, and that makes more sense, right? And neither of those
Yes.
are a wrong answer in today's market,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But the question that I had for you was, you know, like, I know that you crush. I know that you have, such a great work ethic. It's funny, the presentation that you did at the conference we were at, you were like, you just do it. Like, so,
Yeah.
if you're trying to shoot content, you're just going to do it. And like, so
Mhm.
I totally get your mindset. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and so the question that I'm taking a long time to get to is, how do you, as you've hired agents to the team, like how, because everyone says they work hard, everyone says they want to make lots of money, everyone says they want to serve clients, but then like you actually get down to it and you said like sometimes they don't. Like not everyone
Yeah.
just gets up and works all day and serves their family and their clients and all of these things.
Yeah.
How do you interview for that, or how do you dig deeper with people?
That's such a Katie, like I'm still learning this to
I,
be
I'm
completely
asking you
vulnerable.
selfishly, dude.
I
Like,
this is the hardest part for me, right? Because some people just interview really well. Like they
I
show
hope.
up,
Yeah.
yeah, right? Like they show up, they present well, they print out their CV or their resume, like they're super polished, they've prepared, and you're like, man, this is my person,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And you have
Yeah.
so much confidence. You're like, they have so much potential. I just need to guide them a little bit, they'll crush. And then, like, literally 2 weeks in, it's like, where'd you go? You're not showing up. So it's a constant challenge. One thing that I guess I've learned, and I just started implementing it. So I guess the jury's still out if this is a good way, is rather than like fully bringing them on to the team and giving them access to all the platforms and plugging them in 100%, it's kind of that, come train with us, come be in the office with us, come see what the battle rhythm and the week work looks like and what the expectations are, and here are your 3 onboarding tasks to do. So the first one that we do with any agent, especially if they're new, is the 100 house tour. And I actually learned that from the Rise conference, which is you have a month, or really you should be able to shorten it up, but you have to go view, schedule, video 100 properties in our market, different communities,
Yeah.
different house styles, all those things, right? Just to get out. If they're not going to do that, like, okay, so I have number one. Number two is the dial for dollars, and they have to make 1,000 calls a week. And that's so easy to do because I give them Mojo Dialer, they have the script, everything's right there. They just have to physically hook up their phone and make phone calls. That's number two. And number three is I do a video challenge. So they have to be comfortable being on video and working on the marketing thing so that they can build their own personal brands. If they're not going to commit to those three things, then like they're just not in alignment with the values and the goals of my team. And
Yeah.
so that's going to be like the test to see if they're able to implement and commit to it. And if they don't, then I'd rather know early on. What do you think? Because you're laughing at
No,
me. Do you
I'm
think this is
laughing because like
crazy?
no, I don't think it's crazy, but like
Okay.
I have anxiety right now. I'm like my hands got a
Oh,
little so I'm like, oh fuck, like a
is it too
thousand phone
much?
calls a week. No, I don't. I love that. I think that's
I
awesome.
don't know.
It's it's interesting to me, and I Ben Kinney said that he like does the like you have to make 1,000 phone calls in a day to just get told
That's
to
who it
F
was.
off. Yeah.
Yes, but that's what I'm
And
saying. 1,000 in a day. I'm giving you a freaking week.
oh
Like
yeah.
you can do that in a day. So right, the standards are not that insane. But go on, Ben Kenny's
No, no,
awesome.
no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like he said that, and so I'm like, but how many times? Because I know this is a newer thing, right? As you're going to bring on more people, it's
Yeah,
going to be a newer thing. And like, how many times have you had an agent on your team be like, "Hey, Nicole, um, so I just realized like the more people I talk to, like the more homes I sell," and you're like, have we not been going over,
dude.
so it's like if you can get that out of the way in the first month of like,
Yes,
man, I've been shit on a ton, but when I call 1,000 people and I talk to x number of people and then that many lead to appointments and then I actually sold a house, like then
like
it's like cool, I can do that and have
right.
this base of business and also get those reps in, because I think that that's
Yes,
like with especially for newer agents, it's like just like tightening up your words and what you're saying and the cadence and tone and things like that, um,
yeah.
is so huge, and making that many phone calls in a short period of time, I think
Yeah.
is huge.
Literally, Katie, like that is exactly what happened. We implemented this retroactively with my team. So we're on week two.
Okay.
After the first full week, one of my agents was like, I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden I have like 4 clients that
I'm
I'm
so
working with.
busy.
I'm so busy. I'm like, well, holy shit. Could it have been that we implemented 3 specific tasks? And when you actually do what I say to do or recommend to do, there's results. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, no, it was just, I just got lucky today. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
getting lucky. Just keep making those calls. I don't know. But I agree. And it's like, that's also why listening to like people that you aspire, right? So like Sharon, I just want him in my ear constantly. I wake up, I'm listening to a podcast. I jump on a coaching call. I jump on the down market playbook with him. I want to hear him in my ear constantly because of his sound, his tone, his cadence, and I
Yeah.
want to emulate that, right? So whoever that person is for people, they need to do that.
Well, and just a shout out to Sharon, who I still
Hmm.
need to get on the podcast. I have terrible scheduling skills, and he scheduled, and I was like, I can't do that time, and you know how busy he
What?
is. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm an asshole, is what it comes down to. But anyways, shout out to Sharon. The thing that I
Hmm.
love about him, and I was talking to someone about this earlier today, is like he shows up. Right. So like whatever he's doing and wherever he is, like he is there 110%
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I've been on the road with him before, right? Like we did some stuff together,
Hmm.
and like we both, like it was a freaking week, right? And like everyone's like chugging Celsius, and like he even was like, he's like, I don't normally do this, but okay, I'll drink some Celsius. And but he just like he shows up, you know, and
Yep.
that's like it's something to be uh to strive toward. Like
Yeah, and
crazy.
the people on the other side feel it, they know it, and
Yeah.
they appreciate it, right? Like, I can't I mean, he works, we all work our asses off, but his shit, like, he can't half-ass one of his appointments. Sometimes we can half-ass, like, a meeting, let's be honest, right? But he has to be on every
Yeah.
single time because he
Full
has so
ass.
many eyeball. Yes, exactly. So, he can't bullshit his way through these meetings, and it's exhausting watching him. He just has so much energy, and he's just so anyway, I watch people like that, and I
Yeah.
wanna be like that.
What are the
So I
things? Yeah.
just right, I surround myself with people like that so I can improve, and I
Yeah.
feel like everyone I would expect everyone wants to do this, and I and it's not always the case, and I it's confusing to me, but
Yeah.
everyone's different, so
Um, do you think that you got your work ethic from being in the army, or was this something that like you've always had growing up?
I think part of my upbringing for sure. I think, just I'm wired a certain
Yeah.
way. I played sports. I also think,
Okay.
Katie, like talking back through like how to find good people, I have to remind myself. I played sports. I played competitive basketball. I played in college. I played in Ireland and France. Like
That's
that's what
cool.
kind of segued me through doing ROTC and joining the army,
Okay.
and just being not only team building, all of the camaraderie involved with that, but like to be playing at a collegiate level, you have to dedicate. So I
Yeah.
didn't go out. I didn't have friends. I wasn't going to parties. Like I
Yeah.
just knew if I wanted to play college basketball, this was the pathway, and I followed it. And I just had discipline at that early age to accomplish that. So I think that
It's
transferred.
yeah, I played sports in high school. I wasn't that good to be able to play in college. They like D3 or whatever, but like I wasn't
Yeah,
that good to be
yeah,
able to play in college. But I just didn't I just didn't drink in high school because I didn't want to get kicked off the team. Like people would get
yeah.
caught drinking, and then they and so I was like all my friends were playing sports. I was like, I want to just hang out with my friends. So I was just a
Right.
nerd. It wasn't
Yeah.
that you know, I was super driven. I was just like, I'm scared of getting in trouble.
I don't like
You
it.
know, but you know,
Well, my
we can pretend
parents
like it's
weren't
different.
driving me to parties. They were like, I will drive you to basketball or you can stay home and
Yeah.
play basketball. But there was no like, I'm driving you to a party for high school. Like that just didn't exist in my life, in my world. But
Yeah, it's interesting when people did have that, you know, but you know,
yeah,
everyone grows up different.
yeah.
Um, yeah, no, it's interesting because it's like the people just fascinate me, you know. Just you know, we obviously deal with them a lot as far as consumers go. We deal with them a lot as team leaders. We deal with them a lot just you know doing deals with other agents.
Hmm.
And it's just it's interesting, you know, to hear people's stories and kind of like how and why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
You know, something I've been hearing a lot lately is like people kind of shitting on the morning routine, right? And it's like, you know, these millionaires or, you know, whatever. And like, um, and I think Hermosi actually did one video I saw or someone where it's basically like, you know, all these people say like, oh, to become a millionaire, you've got to get up at 4 a.m. and you need to do A, B, C, D every day. And he's like, no, you just need to
Hmm.
work your ass off. Like
Yeah.
you could get up at whatever time you get up, but like you need to work your ass off. I know that you're like a morning routine person. Have you always been a
Hmm.
morning person?
I think college and the army made me that
Yeah.
way. I mean,
Okay.
I believe me, high school, if I could sleep through
Oh,
noon until noon, like, right? I don't know what happens in high school. I think the hormones, you're like a sloth sleeping
yeah.
constantly. But, um, and then, you know, you have kids, right? So like at some point in life, you just have no choice as to when you wake up. When they wake up, you're up. So then it's like, all right, well, what do I do with my time? I'm up at 4. I could try to go back to sleep. We all know that that doesn't really
Yeah, shitty
happen. So
sleep. Yeah.
I'm right, right. So you might as well just make the most of your time and be productive with it. So I think just over time, and now my clock is just, I wake up just hella
Wired. Yeah.
early. Yeah, ready to go. Just switch turns on.
Yeah.
I've literally had to buy alarm clocks for agents on my team, like physical alarm clocks, because they're sleeping through alarms or they're not setting the alarms or the phone dies. And I'm like, how do you live? Like how are you a functioning human being right now without being able to wake up on time? Because how that transfers to clients. Like you
everything.
have
All the
timelines on
things.
contracts, you're meeting clients at showings and properties, like you're going to be late. Forget it. I wouldn't want to work with someone like that. It's like so inconsiderate to other people. So it's always been, if you're not early, you're late. And that's, I've always operated like that.
Do you have what do you have as far as like agent accountability on a weekly basis? So like obviously you're doing this new kind of challenge of like doing video
Mhm.
and going out and previewing properties and being out in the market and making your phone calls, but like, do y'all have like morning, because like you're talking about the mornings, like do y'all have
Yeah.
like morning things that y'all do as far as like huddles or meetings or things like that?
Yeah, so Monday morning, we always start the week off with our week huddle, and that's kind of like
Yeah.
a review preview of the prior and the future week ahead. And then we have Tuesday, Wednesday is kind of like office collab time where my team is supposed to be here in the office doing some floor time because we do get some walk-in traffic, and then making calls during that time. And then Thursday is our weekly team meeting where we get super tactical. So it's kind of like the battle rhythm throughout the week. I don't have like accountability thing in the mornings other than Monday, because there needs to be just some expectation of personal
This is the yeah.
accountability. I can't babysit. I tried doing that for some time, and now it's kind of like, show up and do your job. So
Show up and make money or not
or or be
and
broke. I don't know.
find
Whatever. Your
something
choice.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
I love
I
the
don't mean to be cynical. I feel like I'm being very cynical, and I'm usually not, but you kind of caught me in a couple of weeks. I told you, I was like, rethinking some structure stuff and got some clarity, but that's where I'm at right now.
No, I mean, I think that it's tough, especially in the market that we're in, and all signs point to this being the market that we're in for the foreseeable future, right? And so I
Hmm.
think that it's tough both for agents and for team leaders, because people's actions and words don't always align, right? And
Hmm.
so I think right now for a lot of team leaders, it's like, we came off some really productive years in real estate, but it was like all momentum based like production. It wasn't that
Yes.
we were just crushing, right? Like
Right.
some of us were crushing, some of us still are, and whatever. But like, I mean, we'll be very close to last year's numbers, but with like in my mind way more work, right? It's been way more
Yeah.
difficult.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I don't think you're being cynical. I think that some people may listen to this and they may be like, oh shit, but like I think for a lot of high producing agents and top performing agents out there, they're like, oh no, like I'm fucking saying the same thing,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and I'm just like, I enjoy talking to you, and I love
Thanks.
looking at your background. So,
It's a beautiful mural.
um, no, and it's selfish on my part too, right? Like I'm just like, well, what are other people doing to hold the accountability? What are other people doing, to kind of get people fired up? Because it's like I talked to someone the other day or earlier this week that they said that before it was taking them about 8 phone calls or 8 touches to get in contact with their online leads. Like and that
Hmm.
was kind of the number, was the average was 8, so some more
Yeah.
sooner, but some more later. And he said right now it's taking 36 phone calls before people even respond, like to
Wow.
actually get them on the phone for an appointment. And I was like,
Wow.
holy shit, like for it to be that significant amount
Yeah.
more contacts. And he was like, we've figured that out over this year, like as interest rates continue to increase, like the
Yeah.
number of phone calls just kind of kept getting further and further away.
Interesting.
And I was
But what great tracking that team leader or agent is
yeah.
doing to know that, right? And that ties into the accountability too. It's like, and like right now I'm working my way with my team to be at that level of detail when it comes
Yeah.
to tracking. Right now, I'm just trying to get them to make phone calls and log the calls that they're making, connections made. So baby steps, right? But that's incredible. And that's really where we need to be as whether you're a team lead or whatever in production. Like you need to know how many calls do I need to make to convert and close one client? And then kind of backward that number in
Yeah.
because I'm telling you, like 1,000 calls a day is probably not enough to get because maybe that results in one converted client, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Because a
Yeah.
thousand calls, we might get, I don't know, 15 connects, and of those 15 connects, you get 10 of them are going to be fuck off or hang up. So maybe five people you could have a conversation with, and maybe one of those are in the market. So it's like you have to just the amount of volume that we have to be doing has to increase to have a solid year next year.
Are you guys doing the calls in office, or it's like you just kind of make them? Sometimes we're here, sometimes we're not.
So we rolled out to have them in the office, and that was where we were doing like the office hours kind of at the same time. So like someone would be
Yeah.
here making the calls and kind of manning the office. Um, I think people don't want to make calls in front of people because they're embarrassed on the
Yeah, for
phone. I
sure.
don't know. I don't know what it is. So I'm like, you have the office to yourself. Make the calls. Do it at home. I don't care where you do it. Just make the calls.
Yeah. So we did a call week the other day or a call day the other week. I'm struggling with words right now,
Yeah.
but and I've put a bunch of money in envelopes, and so it was like some of them were $5. I put like
Cool.
$1 in
Ooh.
one. And I did all the way up to
Yeah.
100, right? Like so they
Nice.
all had random dollar bills in them. And then I did like, first person to 10 calls, 20 calls, 30 calls, 50 calls, 100 calls, right? And I was like, oh, so I put the 100 in the 100. And then it was like first appointment, first, FU, first, like all of these different
Yes.
things. And I got back to the office today, and the only one that didn't get like taken was like someone getting a referral by calling their sphere. But everything else got taken. So I was like,
Wow.
money
That's
motivated.
interesting. Totally. And I have actually that's a good idea. I might have to implement that because I definitely have some competitive girls on my team. So we did the live video challenge and whoever was 10 days consecutive got $100. So that
Nice.
that caused a little competition. That was good. So maybe I'll take your idea on that. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Whenever we do competitions, like I've coached in the Tom Ferry world for a while, and
Hmm.
he's like, people are like, oh well, Tom, what do I like the team's not doing well. What do I do? He's like, run a competition. He's like, oh, the team's doing really well. What do I do? He's like, run a competition. Like, because
Yeah.
most people, that are successful in real estate are competitive, right? And so
Yeah.
like even if it's like he's like they'll fight harder for $100 bill than they will for a $20,000 commission, or something like
Isn't
that,
it
right?
amazing? Yeah. It's so
So
true.
yeah, no, it cracks me up, and that's something that right now we're running a challenge, and so that coupled with, um, you know, how many phone calls can you make? Like I'm pulling up the numbers right now. I've got one of the agents on my team has made 544 phone calls in the past 14 days. It's no $1,000,
Yeah.
1,000 day
But they're
dials, but
solid.
like,
What was it through like their database or was it like through the dialer? What kind of
so
calls was
we've
it? Or
got,
both?
yeah, so we have like a pond, right, of like, 7,000, eight
Yeah.
thousand leads and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like I know she's been coming through that. She calls her sphere, past
Cool.
clients, like, and whenever we do a competition, she's like the one that's like, yeah, like if I'm concerned about my pipeline or whatever, she's like, I'm just gonna freaking go all in. And if, a
Yeah.
contract's worth 50 points and a call's worth one, like I know I need to just freaking grind. Like I
Yeah.
want to win this. And it's like, an hour of content they win, or like $500 they win, right? But
I
like,
love it. That's good
so
mindset. See? That's it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Simple.
yeah. All right. I feel like we went in on like the team and the accountability and the mindset. I had other stuff that I had written down, but I like the direction that this went in, because
Okay.
it's like I
Let's
feel
go.
I feel like it's more natural, like
Yeah.
when I like ask the canned questions, then we don't go down these paths that I enjoy.
Totally. No, this is
Um,
good. It's authentic.
well, okay, and so just as far as like I know you've lived in a lot of different places, kind of up and down the East Coast. Is your team spread out, or are you all just in Palm Beach County, and that's kind of like the area that you service now?
Yeah, we're all pretty much in northern Palm Beach County. So anywhere from like Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm, up through Jupiter. So it's like a 15, 20 minute mile radius. Um, But yeah, I mean, my goal was to kind of expand because we do cover downward, like south of Palm Beach County is Broward County. So we do have some clients that are down there. And then we do go a little further north up to like Port St. Lucie and Martin County. So my plan was to kind of have a few people plugged in along the eastern shore. But right now we're just kind of keeping it lean, like a SEAL team,
Yeah. Yeah.
size here, and just really focusing on performance. And then, I think next year, I'm starting to work on business planning just on what I think that's going
Yeah.
to look like. But I think just for the foreseeable future, like kind of, we talked a little bit about different teams have different plans where they're going to like size up or
Yeah.
just stay long and lean. I think like to size up, you have to have the infrastructure to support. And
For
for
sure.
me, I think that's like you got to have support staff, operations manager, sales manager, like all those things. And I tried doing, and it's money, right? And
Yeah.
I had an ops manager for 6 months, and that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then, I'm like, so then now I'm doing it all, and I just don't have the bandwidth to do it and I'm in production still. So it's like there's only so much, and that's where it goes back to, I think, having like a serious plan, being disciplined, and taking action on the plan and not getting too sidetracked,
Yeah.
because you see other people doing different things, and then you start like you're just following down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it small, and really for SEO purposes, for marketing purposes, it really does make more sense for me just to like double down on my specific market, and put the money into building out my footprint here instead
Yeah.
of like covering a larger area that
Yeah.
no one really knows me in.
Yeah. Going deeper instead of wide. And then
Totally.
maybe more in the future. But yeah, no, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Especially just, with kind of where things are in the market. So earlier you said that, obviously Sharon, but like you listen to podcasts and different things like that, and you're like, it just, I don't have downtime, right? Like if I'm driving somewhere, I'm listening to something like that.
Mhm.
What are some podcasts or like books or things like that you subscribe to or listen to as far as like professional or personal development?
I mean, definitely I'm listening to his, business
Business,
mastery
yeah.
classes. Yeah. I listen to the RE agent with Cody and Vikram. I have like some of my friends, I just kind of support them. So I'm tuning into their podcast too. But definitely like Sharon's Business School is one of my favorites. I used to coach prior to Real. I was with Hyperfast with Carrie Shaw and Dan Lesniak. They had a good podcast. I was unfeatured on that one as well. So I just like the really deep tactical
Yeah.
conversations that you can take something away from instead of just the fluff. Because, like, you know, I think everyone's trying to jump on this podcast wagon a little bit. So unless there's like really good people on it, then or just really good takeaways. And then in books, I'm kind of right now. My husband was just featured in a book right now, so I'm deep into that one right now. It was about West Point rugby team and their time in service and stuff. So right now I'm diving into that one, which
Yeah.
is a little outside of real estate, um, but yeah, I mean, I honestly, what I went back to recently was Dale Carnegie, How to Make
Okay.
Friends and Influence Others.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is like, how good is that book? I mean, I read that, I don't know, 20 years ago. That
Yeah.
is just such a good book to read, just about having conversations with people and being relatable and being liked, and like we're in sales and real estate. So that's such
Yeah.
a basic building rock. And
Yeah.
I
No,
liked
that's
rereading
like,
some of those,
yeah.
So
No,
that was a good one.
there's a lot of like classics, right? Like
Mhm.
that are timeless, I mean
Yeah.
some books and some, personal development stuff like I feel like is good for you in like a season of life, right?
Mhm.
But the ones that are tried and true and you could read today or 20 years ago or 20 years from now and it still be something that you could apply to your life.
Yeah.
I also like books like that where it's like in a different season of life, like it hits you a little bit differently, but it's all still good info and stuff like that.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah, you're in different places in your life. Even objections. I was just looking at my book list because I have them all on audiobook. Just some negotiating stuff. Like I want to really sharpen up my negotiation skills, and I think that that's something, especially as the market's changing with
yeah,
everything that's kind of happened. Like we got to sharpen up some of those things, and that's one of the areas I want to work on myself personally.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
Um, just those the Chris Voss and Phil Jones are like my two that I like as far as like the things to say, right? Or
Yeah.
how to phrase things. And just
Yes.
swapping out words or saying it slightly differently. I'm like, man, they have such good words. My words are only like
Yes.
okay, theirs are like great,
I know it's true. Like
Glad
my
that
the
smart.
vocabulary that we use on a day-to-day basis is like so limited. It's like amateur hour. So that's
Yeah,
why I
no.
like listening to these brilliant people who just it's all in the nuances.
For for sure, for sure. I do feel like sometimes though, especially with like that we're on our phones so frequently, like texting and emailing and like on social media and
Mhm.
stuff like that. When I go to write things and when I go to type emails, sometimes I'm like, how do I spell that word? Because like so many things autocorrect.
I know, yes.
That like if I'm writing something out, I it takes me a minute sometimes. Like God, I'm getting dumb. I need to go like read a book or something.
I know,
Maybe that's
because we
just
live
me.
in a world of abbreviations too,
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
everything we say is real estate jargon, so we just communicate in like letters.
I also have a lot of, like, shortcuts on my phone, so, like, sometimes it's, like, it's a full ass sentence, and I'm, like, putting in, like, offer
I
REP, and that's, like, offer reply, and it's, like, "Hey, Nicole," or, like, "Hello, thank you so much for submitting your offer on our listing, we'll be in touch within
Oh
24"
my God. It's
So,
amazing.
it's fine, it's fine. Um, hopefully people
Everything's
aren't listening,
fine.
they're like, "Man, Katie is not intelligent," like, I was an avid
I
listener of
thought
this
she really
podcast.
put a lot of I thought she put a lot of love and thought into that email. Little did I know it was like a three letter shortcut. Thanks, Katie.
I mean, it's sort of like 5 letters, Nicole, but thank you
Okay.
for, and a hashtag, I normally add like a hashtag or 2, so
Yeah,
just,
of
fun.
course. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Curious on the book front, have you ever read, the book White Collar Warrior by Bill Hart?
Ooh, no, I haven't.
It's a
I've
good
heard
one.
of that one though. Okay.
Yeah, 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 and so,
Ooh.
we've actually had the team read that a few times, like, we'll do, like, little book club, situations or whatever, and
Cool.
he, has worked with a lot
Huh.
of military, and then he's in the mortgage space and stuff like that, and so, by no means is he drawing parallels, but he's, like, talks about concepts of, like, eat the frog and, mindset
Yes,
stuff
that's
and
one.
things like that
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
is I like it, and it's
Yeah. Oh,
it's
I'll
one
have
that's,
to
like, an
add that to the
easy
list.
an easy read, so,
Yeah. Eat That
um
Frog is just a classic too. That's like a once a year kind of quick one. And oh, you know what else I like is the purple cow. That is what kind of set you got
yeah,
things. Yeah.
I don't have it
That's one
on the
that
shelf.
like that's in our office back there too. And it's I gave that out for Christmas presents every year. I'm like those two books, Eat That Frog and Purple Cow. And that kind of like was early on with the marketing side of things. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I get it. So purple cow or unicorn. So I kind of like see how I swap those animals out.
How 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 do you feel like you, are doing something different than others in your market?
Um, I everyone talks about brand, right? And I think brand takes time and to develop, and I think it's kind of changing and stuff. I think what's a little bit different with me is that I just kind of put it all out there and I cover a lot of different bases and I just make sure that everything that I put out is authentic to me and it's relatable to my audience. So I kind of backed off a lot of the overly real estate like just listen, just sold, oh, under contract,
Yeah.
all that stuff, because really no one gives a shit, right? But for ego purposes, for years we thought that like made other people think they were doing great, but really no one
Yeah.
cares. So I kind of shifted more towards really tapping into the local community. So doing a lot more business spotlights, community spotlights. Um, I just did. This is going to be amazing. I don't know if Erica knows that I did it. She probably does. We have Jupiter Locals page on Facebook, and she's on there. We're on there. Everyone puts stuff. And I did a poll for best pizza place in Jupiter. I got 252 comments within like 20 minutes, right? So we got like some serious pizza eaters. So I
Yeah.
took the top three. And from that, yesterday was my first one. I'm going to all three to eat pizza and just video it, right? And then
What a
kind of
tough life.
rate it. It's oh my God, let me tell you this pizza I had yesterday. It's Al Forno's. It was so good. I've never had it before. But like I can make content from that and
Yeah.
then make a blog out of that and then kind of build off of that to be because we have all these New Yorkers and everyone's looking for a good piece of pizza. So it kind of doing more of that type of stuff, I think makes me outside of just a real estate agent. It's like, oh, someone that will help me navigate into the community and grow
For
roots
sure.
and be a resource.
Well, and that's, I think for a while people were talking about that, like Gary V, one conference said like be the digital mayor. And then that suddenly was
Yeah,
like the thing that everyone talked about for so many years. And
I
like,
know. Yeah.
then I think a lot of people shied away from it and it was more like, oh, well, like I'm just going to do flashy stuff, and
Yes.
then now
Yeah.
it's like, but that's something that we've always done. Cause like, I feel, as if a lot of, people like consumers that we're working with, um they want to know, like, as you said, like a lot of New Yorkers are moving down to South Florida,
Hmm.
right, and to different areas of Florida, and like so they want to know, like, okay, well, like, is there any good pizza here, like is it like it is
Yeah.
back home, kind of thing, and we have those conversations with so many clients,
Hmm.
and so that content, doesn't work for everyone, right? Some people are like, oh, that's
Hmm.
bullshit, no one cares, but I'm like, it's worked well for us as far as like connecting with
Yes.
people and also connecting with business owners in the local community. So I think a lot of people are still sleeping on
Yes.
that, and it's, in my opinion, it's not
Yeah.
dead. So I'm glad that you're
Totally.
doing it.
And yeah, and really like from a technical aspect, it's all SEO driven. Like people are gonna search best pizza Jupiter. Like that's
Yeah.
gonna be a keyword search.
And
So
then
if
your
I can
videos
have a
popping up
blog and
on, yeah,
yeah, that's it right there. Like not many people are like search. I mean, I guess they search best realtor Jupiter, but like I want to come up in all of their life. I want
everywhere.
to be best ice cream, best bake, like all the
Like,
food.
God, fine, we'll work with Nicole. Jeez. She just,
Yeah.
I think that it's because really you just want to go eat the best ice cream and the best donuts and the
I do.
best
I work out so
pizza.
that I can eat. That is
Same.
my entire goal in life, and that I could still go to the beach and look decent in a bathing suit. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like,
I agree. I feel the same way. So I'm gonna
yep.
hit you with the last question of the podcast, which is, if it
Okay,
were your
okay, okay.
last meal on Earth, what would you be eating?
Gosh. Okay, I'm definitely a carnivore, so it would be some like beef wagyu, loaded baked potato, all the things, tons of butter, cheese, and bacon. And then like Lewis Steakhouse is my favorite. It's here in Jupiter, by the way. And then I love me some Maddie's gelato. Like it is the best gelato I've ever had, even from compared to Italy. So
Damn.
that would be it. It would be steak, potatoes, and a big freaking bowl of gelato.
What
I'd be
flavor
happy.
gelato?
Okay, good question. I mix my personal favorite is M&M and chocolate peanut butter cup, and I mix it
Oh,
together and just
that's yeah,
chow. It's a
that's a
weird
little treat.
combo, but
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, it's so good. So that's what we get at least once a week. That's like my Sunday treat.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully I'll be in Jupiter soon and we can
Yes.
plan to go eat some steak and
Yeah, let's
eat some
go eat.
gelato because those are high on my list. So,
Talk a little bit of real estate, but mostly just
well,
eating.
that's for the write-off, right? We're like, you
Yeah.
still sell real estate, as do I.
Yeah,
Just
good.
kidding, Scott, my CPA. I actually normally go for events and things like that, so we'll probably
Sure,
have a lot
sure.
of real estate.
Professional education. Yes, yes.
Cool, Nicole. I appreciate you,
Yeah.
and all of your knowledge and information. So very much appreciated. If someone doesn't already follow you, where is the best place for them to connect with you online?
Yeah, Instagram is probably my go-to, and it's just N Stanbra. So you could find me there, and then my LinkedIn, my link tree is in there. But Instagram is definitely my go-to platform.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yes, cool.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you.